So up here in the library is where we're going to be doing our magical kind of Hogwarts inspired Christmas. I kind of did a similar look to this last year. It was kind of an unofficial theme. This year I want to go all in on that theme and just make it super magical and really beautiful. I love this built-in so much, and I've got tons of vintage books on here. It's one of my favorite things. Like, it's truly like an art piece almost. So the more I was kind of thinking about doing Christmas up here this year, I love this. I just feel like it looks a little bit bland, and I want to paint the trim is what I've kind of decided. I always get these ideas right before, like during a busy season of life when I just like don't have the time. And then I like pack too many things on my plate. So I have decided I'm going to compromise with myself. I am going to allow myself to paint the bookcase. I'm not going to paint all of the trim. There are 5 doors up here and 2 built-ins, and it's a lot of trim. It's very tedious work. So I'm going to paint the bookcase. That's my plan. When we painted it last, we did use an enamel paint, which is what we'll use again. The downside to an enamel paint is that if you're going to paint over it, you have to sand over it to kind of scuff it up a little bit. It doesn't have to be like, you know, crazy amount of sanding, but I do have to do a little bit of sanding, so it's going to slow the process down a bit. But the nice thing about it is it hardens, and it's just great for like trim and built-ins and things like that. I do still have a bit of paint left from the kitchen in Hampshire Gray. I know that I love that color. I want to use it in another area of the house. I feel like this is a great place to use it. So that's the color that we're gonna go with. And then after the first of the year, I'm gonna come back in here and I'm gonna do the rest of the area. Maybe we'll hang more art and like do more things up here. Anyway, it's another story for another day. Let's get these samples on the wall and hopefully get this whole bookcase done this weekend. The most difficult part of this project was taking all of the books off and then having to put them back on. The painting went by really quickly, but I got to work out moving those books for sure. I absolutely love the way the green looks, and I cannot wait to go in and do the banister up here as well as the doors, the other built-in. There's one door in this space that you may have seen if you've been around here for a while, but it is an arched door and it's also got glass panes in it. It's actually the most beautiful door, but it leads to our office, which is usually a chaotic mess. So at some point I would like to get that in order, and then I'll be able to give you a better view of it, but it's gonna look really, really nice in green. Now on to the Christmas decorating. Speaking of a chaotic mess, our tree, I spent the time restringing a couple of years ago, and this one I actually got from a neighbor who was moving away, and they were selling it at their garage sale for $20. So lights had gone out on it, so I restrung it, but I was too lazy to ever restring it again, so we just keep the lights on it and put it away. Which is why when it's taken apart, I was kind of just dragging it across the floor. But there are few things that I dislike more than stringing lights on a tree. I think it's so frustrating. But I also dislike fluffing trees. So we're gonna make this go by really fast and get to the fun part, which is obviously decorating it. For years, I did the gold, a little bit of champagne, silver, kind of metallic look on my tree. And so I had a huge box filled with gold and silver and all the things. I could not bring myself
to get rid of these things and thought maybe one day I'm going to need them again, as we do. If I ever needed confirmation to continue hoarding things that I don't need, this was it, because I ended up using a bunch of stuff from that box and they worked perfectly. So, you know, sometimes there is payoff in holding on to things for a long time. Most of the time there's not, but sometimes there is. So I end up moving our cutie little owl to a different spot. Initially I had him at the top of the tree, so you'll notice later in the video he is moved. I would like to get more owl ornaments if I'm going to try to do this look again and kind of evolve it a little bit. I think it'd be really cute just to have birds kind of all over the tree. Also, these tree toppers, you see how it has that like spiral base on it? I just saw a video that said you're supposed to actually twist the top piece of your tree onto that. I had no idea. Obviously I didn't know when I made this video, but did anybody know that? Something I wanted to mention about the way that I draw inspiration from movies and stories and then infuse it into my decor is that I'm never trying to replicate. I don't like to buy things that are specifically, like in this case, Harry Potter. I am really aiming to emulate a feeling and have some subtle nods, but I never want it to feel like when you look at it, you know what it is, but maybe that it feels really familiar and it still feels very much like my own design.
So I got the tree mostly done the other day, but I still have just a couple of things that I want to add to it, and then we need to do the bookshelves, which is going to be really simple. I styled these bookshelves and like refined them over a couple of years, and so I really like the way it's styled. I'm not going to change that out too much. I might change just like some little vintage pieces or something, and then we'll add some greenery and some fairy lights and kind of add the magic over there. Now the tree, originally I ordered 3 different ribbons, and I was going to do a bunch of different colored ribbon on it. I of course got gold. I also got brown, which looks pink. I feel like all of the brown ribbon I ordered this year just had this like rosy tone to it, which is fine. And then I have a box full of this ribbon that I used last year on this tree. What I really liked about using this ribbon on this tree is that it kind of mimicked the color of the books over onto the tree. So I thought that looked really nice with it. But I was asking Luke his opinion the other day because I actually really like kind of this all gold thing that we have going on. And the tree that I originally was kind of inspired by is all gold and celestial and just feels really magical. And so I was going to kind of obviously put my own twist on it and add these because I really liked it last year. But when I asked him about it, he said he also kind of felt like it took away from the gold tree. Like the tree just was kind of magical on its own without any added color. So I went on Instagram. I did a poll just to kind of see what you guys thought. The overwhelming majority said add the red. But I don't know. After thinking about it for a while, I think I'm going to stick with the all gold. I do think we'll add a bit of gold ribbon. The other thing I want to add to the tree before we finish this space up are these keys, which I put on the tree last year, which is kind of why I said it was like the unofficial theme. So we have those, and I also have tree candles. These have the like bases that look like the vintage candle holders, and I use these in the bedroom. I have plenty left over to put on this tree as well. So In the inspo tree, these were on there. Yeah, and I do have a bunch of the floating candles because I know somebody's going to say, you should have added floating candles. I do have floating candles, but one year I tried to put them up here and the ceiling, I could not get anything into it, and it's textured, so I can't use like the sticky stuff. So I've just decided I don't think I'm gonna mess with the floating candles, but we're gonna get kind of the candle effect from this. So anyway, lastly, I was gonna add a flying owl in here. So I ordered this like good sized flying white owl. And then the day that I was expecting to get it in, I got a notification that my shipping had been delayed, which was like a week later. And then it said basically to contact them if I still hadn't gotten it by day 10. Day 10 rolls around. When I finally contact them, they're like, oh, we think it's on back order. So I just told them cancel the order. It's still not even available. We're like well into December at this point. So I just had to cut my losses on that one. Pottery Barn Teen does have a whole Harry Potter line, and they have a Hedwig that has like a little clip so you can put it on the top of your tree. It's beautiful, but the one I was going to order was about half the price, and there's just only so much I'm willing to spend on an owl. So we don't have the owl. I have a little owl that I have on the top of the tree, which is cute. I could get more owl ornaments. That would be really cute. And then I have the feather ornaments, which I feel like kind of tie that look in. But then I also have these bird cages. So we're going to have other elements to kind of, drive that feel home. But I am bummed about the owl. So anyway, with all of that said, let's finish this thing up.
Something that I've been meaning to ask you about, because I've been thinking about it for a long time actually, is if you guys would be interested in having a community private Facebook group. So this would be a place where you can share photos of your decor, your vintage thrift finds, your ideas, kind of be able to bounce ideas off of each other, and just like have a space where we could connect a little bit more. So let me know if that's something that you're interested in. It's definitely something that I can do. It's something I've been thinking about doing for a while. So leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts. This turned out to be a fun little trick. I put a little electric tea light candle in here a long time ago to give the glow of fire without actually, lighting it on fire. And then I got the idea to actually use one of these tree candles behind it and then use the flicker mode. So it fits in there better, it's remote controlled, and it looks so good. So anyway, that's a fun little tip. These little tree candles are great for more than just your tree. I love the way this little wreath turned out that I made out of star anise. I believe I did it last year, and it wasn't something that I filmed. It was just a very simple little craft using some wire that I made into a circle and then hot glued these on and added a ribbon. I also think it would be really cute to take a little bit of Rub and Buff and just ever so slightly dust the edges of the star anise. I think that would be so pretty just to add a little bit of a shine to it. There's a couple of things that I considered doing with the bird cages. Adding a bit of greenery inside would have been really pretty, as well as some fairy lights. You could do both or one or the other. I did end up tying a bunch of ribbon to the bottom of it. I did a similar kind of thing to the mantle in our bedroom. If you saw our last video where we did kind of our fairy tale Christmas, and it definitely gives me kind of like fairy vibes. But I just think it's so pretty, and I thought it was fun to kind of tie the two spaces together with a similar nod to one another. So this isn't necessarily Harry Potter, but I do think it's whimsical and fun, and it turned out really pretty.